Welcome back to The Lost Tactician, where history isn't just preserved, it's decoded. Today, we're entering a different kind of battlefield, the hidden war being waged inside the walls of America's 1940s homes. This isn't about bullets and trenches. This is about a silent saboteur turning your vintage sanctuary into a thermal nightmare. Think your contractor solved your heating problems. Think again. We're about to reveal why that modern insulation you paid thousands for might be the worst tactical decision you've ever made. Picture this. It's a frigid January morning, and you're standing in your beautifully restored 1940s bungalow, watching condensation stream down the inside of your windows. Your heating bill has doubled. There's a musty smell emanating from somewhere you can't quite identify. And yet, just 6 months ago, a contractor assured you that spray foam insulation would transform your home into an energy-efficient fortress. What went wrong? The answer lies not in faulty installation, but in a fundamental misunderstanding of how these homes were engineered to survive. Most homeowners operate under a seductive but dangerous assumption: more insulation equals better efficiency. It's a modern mantra repeated by well-meaning contractors who've never cracked open a 1940s wall cavity or studied the elegant passive systems that kept these homes comfortable for decades. The shocking truth is that contemporary insulation materials, when improperly applied to vintage construction, don't just fail, they actively wage war against the building's original defensive strategies. They create what building scientists call the heat trap phenomenon, a perfect storm of trapped moisture, disrupted airflow, and thermal chaos that can literally rot your home from the inside out. To understand why modern solutions fail, we must first decode the battlefield. Step back to 1946. A young veteran returns home, saves his wages, and purchases a modest 2-bedroom house in suburban America. The walls are simple. Wooden studs sheathed in wooden lath, covered with 3 coats of hand-troweled plaster, and clad on the exterior with cedar siding or brick veneer. There's virtually no insulation in the wall cavities, just open airspace. To contemporarize, this seems primitive, even negligent, but it was brilliantly tactical. These homes were designed as living, breathing organisms. The wall assemblies weren't sealed fortresses, but permeable membranes that managed moisture through continuous airflow and strategic heat loss. When moisture inevitably infiltrated the wall cavity, whether from cooking steam, winter condensation, or exterior rain, driven through cracks, it could escape through natural ventilation and the steady outward flow of heat from the home's interior. The thick plaster walls provided thermal mass, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it slowly at night, moderating temperature swings without active systems. High ceilings allowed hot air to rise away from occupants. Windows were positioned for cross-ventilation. Rooms clustered around central chimneys to share radiant warmth. Every element worked in concert, a passive defense system requiring nothing but understanding. Now, watch what happens when modern insulation invades this delicate ecosystem. A contractor arrives, drills holes in your exterior siding, and pumps the wall cavities full of dense spray foam or blown cellulose. Immediately, the breathing stops, that continuous airflow that dried your walls for 70 years. Eliminated, the outward heat flow that prevented condensation. Severed. The wall cavity, once a dynamic space where moisture could safely evaporate, becomes a sealed tomb. Here's where physics becomes your enemy. When you insulate an old wall from the inside, you dramatically reduce the heat reaching the exterior, sheathing and siding. This seems like the goal. After all, you want to keep heat inside. But in a 1940s wall assembly, that exterior sheathing now stays cold throughout winter. When warm, moist indoor air inevitably finds its way into the wall cavity through the countless cracks in old plaster, it encounters that cold surface and condenses into liquid water. This is called interstitial condensation, and it's invisible, insidious, and devastating. The moisture has nowhere to go. Modern vapor barriers, often installed incorrectly or not at all in retrofit situations, trap it further. Within months, you have standing water inside your walls. Within a year, wood rot begins its silent advance. Within 5 years, structural damage may be irreversible. Real-world casualties mount daily. In Milwaukee, a homeowner spent $12,000 on spray foam insulation, only to discover black mold blooming across the interior of their exterior walls 18 months later. In Portland, a 1942 Craftsman bungalow developed such severe rot in the wall studs that the entire front facade required replacement after a botched insulation retrofit. These aren't isolated incidents, they're predictable outcomes of tactical incompatibility between modern materials and vintage construction philosophy. Victory in this conflict requires abandoning conventional wisdom and embracing building science that respects historical context. The most effective solutions for 1940s homes aren't found in big-box stores or standard contractor playbooks. They're drawn from European restoration techniques and cutting-edge building hydrothermal research. The key is maintaining the wall's ability to dry while improving thermal performance. Breathable insulation materials like mineral wool, wood fiber or cork allow moisture vapor to pass through rather than accumulating at cold surfaces. These materials work with the wall's natural drying mechanisms rather than against them. Exterior insulation systems, while requiring more significant aesthetic consideration, provide the most thermally effective solution by wrapping the entire structure in a continuous insulation layer, eliminating thermal bridging, while keeping the original wall assembly warm and dry. Combined with lime-based plasters that allow walls to breathe, these approaches honor the home's original defensive strategies while meeting modern comfort expectations. But insulation is only one front in this campaign. Successful retrofits require addressing moisture at its source, repairing gutters and downspouts, installing proper flashing, managing site drainage, and controlling indoor humidity through strategic ventilation. Smart ventilation systems, heat recovery ventilators or energy recovery ventilators, provide fresh air and humidity control without the massive heat loss of simply cracking windows. This holistic approach treats the home as an integrated system rather than attacking individual symptoms. Your 1940s home isn't a liability requiring aggressive modernization, it's a sophisticated piece of engineering requiring intelligent adaptation. The soldiers who returned from war to build these neighborhoods understood resource efficiency and resilience in ways our throwaway culture has forgotten. They built homes designed to last generations with minimal maintenance, homes that breathed with the seasons and adapted to their occupants' needs. Our responsibility isn't to obliterate that wisdom with spray foam and vapor barriers, but to enhance it with modern understanding. If you're living in a vintage home, take tactical inventory before any contractor touches your walls. Document your current moisture patterns, identify any existing damage, and consult specialists who understand historic building science, not just generic insulation installers. Consider starting with air sealing, storm windows, and attic insulation before touching your walls. Sometimes the most effective campaign is the one fought on carefully chosen ground. The battle for thermal comfort in a 1940s home isn't won through brute force application of modern materials. It's won through strategic understanding of how these buildings were designed to survive. The lessons from 1940s home construction mirror the tactical wisdom we explore in every episode of The Lost Tactician. Success comes from understanding the terrain, respecting proven strategies, and adapting thoughtfully rather than abandoning time-tested approaches for flashy modern solutions. If this investigation into the hidden battlefield inside your walls has opened your eyes to the complexity lurking behind seemingly simple home improvement decisions, hit that like button. Share this with anyone living in a vintage home before they make a costly tactical error. And subscribe to The Lost Tactician, where we continue exploring how history's hard-won lessons apply to the challenges we face today. Until next time, stay tactical.